Hi, welcome to GPS Dairy Consulting's first ever vlog post. If you've been keeping up with GPS lately, you've probably seen a lot of blogs coming your way. But given the type of topic I was given around innovation, I thought it'd be a little innovative myself and transition my blog to a vlog. And that way I can just talk to you guys instead of having to write it all down and make you read it. So my first blog post was about innovative finance and the possibility of a dairy IPOing. My colleague Nathan followed up on that and described a little bit about where innovation comes from. Today, and the argument I'm going to make today is around what innovation is not. And the argument is that data does not equal innovation. Right now, it seems the dairy industry is pretty obsessed with data and data collection and data analysis. And we collect a lot of probably good information. So we probably collect fresh cow events, milk weights, dry matter intake, milk quality, feed prices, the list goes on in terms of the types and amount of data that we're collecting. And dairy is probably different, the amount that they use data and the amount that they collect. However, we're all pretty obsessed with it right now. And what do we use all this data for? What's the purpose of collecting and looking at all of it? Well, we use it probably for a few different things. We probably use it for day-to-day management, probably to enhance the management and performance of our dairy, thinking about what we're doing wrong and how we can improve upon it. And then we probably use it to help predict the future. And another way to kind of frame this is saying that we use data as a model or in a model. So model is just a line of thinking or a framework or an equation that we use to try to either predict the future or predict an outcome of something that's going to happen. So a model, for instance, that we are probably all familiar with is that if we have high fresh cow health events, we have high ketosis, high milk fevers, is that we're going to have lower peak performance and lower overall performance, probably a higher color rate. All these things are the outcomes of higher fresh cows events. So when we collect the data saying that we have high rates of ketosis, we start to think we need to solve this problem so we don't lead to lower milk production, lower profitability. And we can probably agree that this is a pretty accurate and true model that fresh cow events lead to eventually lower profitability. However, not all the models that we use are necessarily correct. The model of 10 years ago was that we needed to fresh our 2-year-olds and our first lactation cows earlier. So we were freshing in at 19, 20 months old for Holsteins, and we started to realize that these first lactation cows weren't performing very well and probably even carried into second and greater lactations, that these young animals just couldn't perform, even though the model told us that we were going to be money ahead because we were going to lower our replacement costs. We needed less heifers on hand. But we saw at the end of the day that it was probably a less profitable thing to do. And thus we're turning the corner and probably moving our average age of first fresh older now. So this is an instance where we used data, we used information to create a model of freshing in heifers earlier, and it was probably a wrong model, a wrong way of thinking. So instead of using data to innovate and to bring your dairy to a successful and profitable point, my argument is that we need to use true innovation, true innovative thinking to carry our dairy to the next level. So where does innovative thinking come from? Well, let's think back to something in the dairy industry that was truly innovative. And this one's probably a pretty old example, but what if we use the milking parlor as an example of innovation? So we were all milking in tie stalls and stanchion barns. And at the moment, if we were using the data and the current model of the time, if we wanted to milk more cows or be more efficient, we'd probably be adding milking units or extending the end of our barn, making our barn longer, adding more stalls. And that was the way to be, to use the data, use the model to become more efficient. However, it wasn't until we had the innovative thought of, what if the cows came to us instead of us going to the cows? We would never have the milking parlor and holding pens and be as efficient in milking cows as we are today. So in a similar circumstance, we just have to think of these what if questions, use these scenarios to try to create a similar problem to use innovative thinking to come out of it. So I call this just scenario planning. So it's coming up with these what if situations. So what if milk prices dropped in half and feed prices stay where they are? What if half our labor force left tomorrow? What if we are no longer able to use holding pens? What if we're no longer able to use hormone X or medication X, Y, and Z? You know, it really starts to make you think, all right, what would we do in this scenario? What would happen? And the cool thing about this is we don't have data to support any of it. You know, what would we do if we didn't have holding pens? We don't have dairy farms with milking parlors with no holding pens. So what would we do in that circumstance? Or, you know, what if your labor force left? You know, does that force you to think differently? Does it force you to become more efficient? Does it force you to do something? So it's these what if questions that are truly what's driving innovation. Whereas if we're going to be using data to try to predict the future, we're never going to come up with a creative thought. So another way of looking at it is data is always used to look back to try to make you more successful right now, where innovation's looking forward and trying to predict what's to come. So I hope that sparked a couple ideas with you today. If you have any arguments with my thoughts, I definitely would appreciate some feedback. Feel free to contact me and let's start a conversation. Thanks. Bye.